Hello everyone, so in this lecture I am going to give you an example of scanning. So in this video we are going to be looking at the Nikto, which is a web vulnerability scanner or a website. So it's a web server that security scanner that scans on your web server or your WordPress or any other server that you have. And it's a very fantastic tool for detecting vulnerabilities on the server, right? So now the thing that I like about the Nikto is that I use it a lot. I mean a lot in the professional full professional projects. It's really detect the server misconfiguration. Now what do I mean? That most of the time the system administrator or the people you actually set up the web hosting, they really don't know what they are doing. So when this comes, there may be like the information for living or subdomain which will be like wide open for people to know, and just to find them the further so that they can exploit. But just finding random server configuration like misconfiguration or misconfiguring ports, that so now let's see something like that has a like get and post comment or all that great stuff that which that might sound a bit confusing to you, but if you are beginner now then it will be alright. I'll talk more details in here how to all these Nikto tools works. So and we'll be moving along. So using this tool is like a bug suite, like Burp Suite. So we'll get it which into the in depth. So now let's get started. Now I'm going to be using a web server for Apache, most importantly the Apache web server for the testing purpose that I actually configured, and the IP address will be the IP address of the Apache server, and I also tested out it works so that I can use this Apache web server for this testing. You can indeed test on this like mine in any Apache web server or that being hosted on the Debian server for the testing purpose, or you can use your own server or your own WordPress website or server that you own for this testing. Make sure you test only on that you own, and I would not recommend to test on a server that you don't own, because it will give the problem to that specific website or web server that people own. So make sure you always I recommend to test on your web server or on your WordPress web server. And for the thing that I need to mention about being tested on a WordPress site, make sure you're going to log into the WordPress site and update the WordPress version and the plugins to make it more secure that way, and it becomes more secure and becomes a little bit more challenging for the testing. So alright, for now we are going to be using and we are going to learn how to use Nikto. So I already did all of this, so let's just, it's very easy. You can just type Nikto in here, it will give you the graphical interface as you can see, but we are not going to use this. We are going to use the command line interface for better work purpose or convenient, because it is very easy, as we know it's very easy. And just what you have to do now is pretty simple. First we are going to look up the help option for the command that you are going to use. So we are going to look at how to use the Nikto to scan vulnerabilities that we might find on the site. So it's very simple. Just open up your command terminal, just hit the Nikto, and then done. You're done. Then for this help option, you just type help, and it will give you all the information. And most specifically, the command that we are going to be looking at is this. from the beginning that we can be sorted really well. This is why I really like Nikto. Now some of you might be asking or might have a question comes on your mind that, well, you should ask about the WordPress scan. Doesn't this just do the exact same thing? Well, the WordPress scan is the only that designed to sniff out the vulnerabilities on a WordPress website. The good thing about Nikto is that it works on any web server or website for that matter. And you know what, once you know that, it's really fun and fantastic because it works on any site or any web server that we have already seen. So let's get what these commands do. Now some of the most important commands are the dbcheck, which checks database and other key files for the syntax errors. Then format, which saves file. Then help, that extends the help information. Then you have to have a plugin to list all the plugins. Then you have output, which allow you to output the result into a file, very important. So if you are penetration tester, you always should have a documentation of all those scans that you are performing. And you have a SSL, which for the SSL mode into a port, which we are going to be using. So in this video we are going to be specifying the use of default port, and for us the default port is 80. So which I will show you how to specify, and you can also change the port if you want to, which would make a lot of sense unless you are performing some sort of serious scan that is more specialized. Then you have your force necessary mode on the port, which is not that important, and you don't actually come across a lot of that, and you can actually update it and you can print it plugin in a later based version if you want to. So let's get started with the command that we're going to be using. So I'm going to just type in Nikto and specify the host -h, and which is the h command, and we're going to use this Apache server. And after this I would use this website address. This is the domain of the IP address, and I'm going to do this website, and we're gonna select that, and I'm gonna type h command, which I am using. As you can see, this is the h command. This is the host that I know that specify the port. So for port we are gonna specify the port -p, and the port is 80. As you can see, the default port is 80, so you can define any port in here. So as you can see, I am just defining the port, specify the port 80. You can choose anyone you want. So you use P for specifying the port, which is both 80. So if you just press enter, it will take some time, but it will give you a lot of vulnerabilities on this web server, as you can see in here. So we already know that, as we already passed, this is the Debian server on Apache. So it already has, as you can see, XSS protection not defined, so it is already a vulnerable web server. So you make sure you always check your own, because this must be defined, because otherwise this is not safe for users. So because I am using on a testing server, that's why I did not define this XSS. And this is very huge vulnerability, because this will be looking and to exploit all of this, and to upload the vulnerability and all of those good stuff, because a lot of guys have been like doing a lot of penetration testing and trying to get the information. So make sure you do this, because hacking on a web is a different ballgame. While this is very tricky, and because the every site is configured differently. So alright, it gives us already returned all the result, and you can see all the vulnerabilities in here. That's the script. So as you can see, this is given all of those vulnerability that found. As you can see, the PHP backdoor file manager, all of those was found in here, and these are all the vulnerability. So there's a lot of important stuff that we are able to gather in here. Again, it would be much more wise to scan a WordPress site with a WordPress scan, but for other website this is very fantastic. And this is how to scan for vulnerabilities that exist on a web server. And in this case, let's look at one more command, which is for the output command, when we are going to save all of this on a file. So after that, so as you can see, I am on a root directory. You can choose any directory as you want. So I am gonna save all the save will be saved on this root directory. So we are gonna use the same command, nicto h same. We are gonna use this web server -p for defining the port 80, -o for outputting the result, and we are gonna name this file as nicto_result, and we are gonna define this extension, this file extension, as txt. As you can see, I did a lot of mistake in here because I did some mistake. As you can see, your extension should be just txt, not .txt, because this is the extension file, so it should be just simple as just extension name. And the main thing is that the defining f should be capital. As you can see, it should be capital, as I made some mistake in here. So the capital and then txt. So in overall, I just call it the nicto result, and that's a good to name your documentation appropriately. And now we want to specify the file type, which in case you can say the command of capital F to specify the file type of the file extension. So in this case, I am going to select the txt just to keep things basic, and just press enter. And this is going to start the scanning process. This will take some time, like 2 to 3 minutes, and once the scanning process is complete, it's going to give us the actually saving the data in a real time, and it's will performing the scan as well. So just give it a couple of minutes. After completing the scan, we will be able to see whether or not the information was stored in the file that we specified in the stored. So we will be looking at this vulnerability. So let's move along. By the first thing is that what we've got, and we've got like gather information on a web server or a website, and this is just a basic, just getting started, and this is very good to customize the tool. So as you can see, this is completed. As you can see, one hosted is tested, because this is the host one defined. You can use a couple of more if you want. So what you have to do now is you have to go to this directory where you have saved the file. So let's just open it as root. Because you cannot open root directory without root permission. So as you can see, nicto result, as you can see. So let's just open the file. So this is very important. They are specifically for the penetration testing. because this is going to be the Nikto that will be moving along with this, and we know we'll be looking for cross-site scripting, how to bulb shoot, and you can test any other way or any other thing that you want, but this is the basic way that you can test for scanning purpose for any WordPress or WordPress site or any website that you own or that you have. I guess you guys found value in this lecture, and that's all for this.